Dear devotees, we'll continue with the Bhakti Shatak from doha number 29 tonight. Radhe 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 कृष्ण कृपा बिनु जाय नहीं, माया अति बलवान, शरणागत पर हो कृपा, यह गीता को ज्ञान। राधे राधे यह गीता को ज्ञान, कृष्ण कृपा बिनु। कृष्ण कृपा बिनु जाय नहीं, माया अति बलवान, शरणागत पर हो कृपा, यह गीता को ज्ञान। राधे राधे यह गीता को ज्ञान, बिनु जाय नहीं, माया अति बलवान, गत पर हो कृपा, यह गीता को ज्ञान। राधे 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 राधे। Maya is what keeps the souls under bondage and has kept all of us under bondage since eternity. It is Maya that stands between us and God. So if we can defeat Maya or cross Maya, then all our problems are solved. And Maya is a Jada Shakti. Jada means it's not alive. It has no mind of its own. It can't do anything on its own. Whereas we, the souls, we are Chaitanya Shakti. Both of us are powers of God. Charam Pradhanam Amritaksharam Harah Charatma Na Vishate Deva Ekah. Shvetashvataropanishad says, souls are a power of God, so is Maya. God rules over both. He is the Ish of both. But in Gita, we are called his Parashakti as compared to Maya, which is his Apara. Apara meaning Nikrisht, lower. And Para meaning better. Better than Maya. Why? Because we're alive and Maya isn't. So from that point of view, we're better than Maya. Yet Maya has us under bondage. This is only possible because we're not surrendered to God. See, Maya, even though it's Jada, functions with God's power. God's Swarup Shakti, his personal power, enlivens Maya, and that causes Maya to become active and take the form of the universe on the base of God. So although Maya is an abstract power which has it can't exist on its own, yet we cannot overcome Maya because Maya, being God's power, has equal power to God. So we can't defeat Maya on our own. Only by surrendering to God can someone cross Maya. This is just a basic principle of Sanatan Dharma. Maya is Shri Krishna's power, he tells us in the Gita. Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. He says Maya may be lifeless, but it's uncrossable. But if you surrender to me, then with my grace, I will take you across Maya. So dasi raghubir ki samujhe mithya sopi. Tulsidas ji says, don't think of Maya as mithya. It's an actual power of God. Here he uses the word dasi. If it's his power, it means it's his servant. Chute naram kripa binu nath kahahu padaropi. Without receiving the grace of Shri Krishna, Maya can never be overcome. And we know to receive his grace, we have to surrender to him. So here Sri Maharaj has reiterated this point that Maya is ati balavan. Maya has unlimited potency because it is God's power and is enlivened by God. Therefore, Sharanagata Paraho Kripa, as soon as you surrender to God, you receive his Kripa, and through that grace, you cross over Maya. Yah Gita ko Gyan. As I just quoted from the Gita, this is a principle which is told to us clearly in the Gita. Now, based on this principle, if we really think about it, someone may have another important question. That it sounds like surrendering to God is a condition of receiving his grace. Yet we say that his grace is unconditional. His mercy is unconditional. We even have a name for him. Akaran karun. Akaran. Karan meaning a reason, a condition. Akaran karun. He is causelessly compassionate, gracious, kind, merciful. Then why does he demand our surrender in order to grace us? In the next doha, Sri Maharaj resolves this issue. He explains that just like a fire gives heat, and you can get that heat if you just go close to the fire. As close as you go, that much heat you get. In the same way, God is openly gracing anyone. Just like there's no condition on behalf of the fire. The fire is saying, here's the heat, come and take all you want. You can jump in the fire and become fire if you want. God says, come as close to me as you want. There's no condition. So receiving the heat of the fire, in order to receive the heat of the fire, you have to go close to the fire. That's not a condition being set by the fire that I'm not going to grace you with my heat unless you come close to me. You have to surrender to me, otherwise you're not getting my heat. It's just our good sense to go close to the fire to receive what's being given for free. Similarly, when God is openly willing to grace anybody at any time, it's simply a person's good sense. If that person opens his heart to receive God's grace, which we use the word surrender to describe that. So it's not really a condition at all. It's just the means of receiving what's being given unconditionally. Even what is being given unconditionally has to be received, doesn't it? If someone's trying to give you a gift, you have to accept it. So that's how God's grace is. The difference between God and the fire in this analogy is that the fire could be physically far from us and we have to go close to it to feel the heat. And the closer we go, the more we feel the heat. Whereas God is a fire who is omnipresent. So he's never far from us physically, but mentally we can be closed off from him. In other words, it's not physically going close to God that counts as surrender, it's mentally joining our mind with him. So in one way, it's easier than going close to the fire because you don't have to move an inch. And in another way, it's more difficult than going close to the fire because going close to the fire only requires you to move your physical body, whereas going close to God requires you to change your mind. That sometimes takes a lot more work. So it's our mind that has to be surrendered to God, and to surrender our mind is a gradual process. That process is described here in the Bhakti Shatak, the practice of bhakti, the practice of devotion. But before beginning devotion, a person has to have all of these kinds of doubts cleared. This is a very common doubt that people have. Why doesn't he grace me right now? What is he waiting for? He's graced so many other souls. So first, let's remove that doubt. He's not waiting for anything. Just like the fire is giving heat, the sun is giving sun rays for free, but you close yourself in your house and draw the curtains and the blinds and then complain that it's dark and everybody else is getting sunlight, I'm not getting sunlight. So we have to accept God's grace in our heart by becoming surrendered to him. Then we can have all the grace we want. And when we become 100% surrendered, like the iron touching the parasmani, it then actually becomes gold. Like if you get so close to the fire, you become one with the fire. Similarly, when we join our mind totally with God, then we receive his ultimate divine grace. That Swarup Shakti completely permeates our mind and divinizes our mind. Then we are free from Maya and we experience divine bliss and we have divine knowledge. So divine knowledge is further explained in a couple of dohas further ahead. So we'll sing further ahead now. Radhe 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 Radhe. जिमि हो शीत निवृत्त तीन जिन ढिंग अगिनि सिधार तिमि हो कृपा तीनहि जिन मन जाए हरिद्वार राधे राधे मन जाए हरिद्वार। शीत निवृत्त तीन जिन ढिंग अगिनि सिधार तिमि हो कृपा तीनहि जिन मन जाए हरिद्वार राधे राधे मन जाए हरिद्वार। राधे 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 राधे। In the next doha, Shri Maharaj brings up an important confusion that many people have about the spiritual path. Yesterday we were discussing some of the differences between Bhakti Marg and Gyan Marg, Yog Marg. Many times people don't make these distinctions, they lump everything together. So whatever they hear about any type of spiritual path, they think it applies to all the spiritual paths. Like they hear a lot about renunciation. And then they think, okay, to qualify for any spiritual path, I have to be totally renounced. I have to physically leave all my possessions and family and everything. But we learned yesterday that in fact, on the path of bhakti, even a person who is involved in worldly life, who has a family, who has a house, a car, physical possessions, can do bhakti. So you see, you can't paint everything the same way. There are different qualifications for the path of bhakti and different qualifications for the paths of gyan and yoga. We discussed about attachments, mental attachments and desires. And you learn that on the path of Gyan and Yoga, you have to begin the path. You have to have eliminated all of your desires and attachments. So people hear such things that are specific to Gyan and Yoga and they think, oh, I have a lot of desires and attachments, so it means I can't follow any spiritual path. To even begin, I have to get rid of all of that, and I don't want to do that. But that's wrong. On the path of bhakti, no matter how many desires and attachments you have, you're still qualified to begin. The desires and attachments gradually reduce on the path of bhakti as you attach your mind to Shri Krishna, to whatever extent you attach your mind to Shri Krishna. So you see, there are differences in the various spiritual paths. In the path of Gyan and Yoga, you have to cease the activity of the mind. Stop the activity of the mind. No thoughts, no desires. In the path of bhakti, you take that activity and you divert it towards Shri Krishna. You have thoughts, okay? Keep thinking about Shri Krishna. Visualize him, love him, imagine his leelas. You have desires. What desires? 5 kinds of desires related to seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling. So use the same 5 desires to desire Shri Krishna. Here he describes another difference. Many people have this idea because on the path of Gyan and Yoga, you're supposed to transcend the feeling of self. People have heard these descriptions, I'm sure, that you should not think of yourself as the doer. You're just observing yourself thinking and doing. This is not something we practice on the path of bhakti. Here Sri Maharaj clarifies, Man main ko mat chhod. O my mind, do not leave this feeling of me, I. Tu das jod de aur. Keep the feeling of I, but just make a correction to your conception of who you are. So far you've been thinking, I am a physical body, right? I am this body, and I belong to this world. I need this world to be happy. Make an adjustment there. Make a correction. What is the correction? I am a soul. I am a divine soul. That's your first correction. So don't leave the feeling of being. Don't leave the feeling of I. Keep it, but make an adjustment. I am the soul. Not only that, but as a soul, I am das of Shri Krishna. Jivera swarupa hoy Krishnera nitya das. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji says, all souls have an identity. Their identity is that they are the servants of Shri Krishna. Naturally, because we are his ansh, and every ansh naturally desires to serve his anshi. So every soul naturally desires to serve God. What could be more natural than that? So that's who we are. We are servants of Shri Krishna. So man main ko mat chhod tu das jod de aur mera bhi rakh saath mein. We're taught in some spiritual teachings, leave the feeling of I and leave the feeling of mine, right? Nothing is yours. Whatever you think is yours, dhokha hai. It's a deception. Nothing belongs to you because everything is temporary. Even your body doesn't belong to you because when you die, you leave it behind. So how can you call it yours? Theek hai, that's also correct. But Maharaj says here, on the path of bhakti, we don't abandon the feeling of mine altogether. We make a correction. Mera bhi rakh saath mein so rasikan sir mor. Rasikan sir mor, Shri Krishna, the greatest of all the rasiks. He is yours. See, if you abandon the feeling of I and the feeling of mine, then how will you relate yourself to him? Relation happens in duality. This idea of meditating on the non-duality is not part of bhakti. That's part of Gyan Marg. You try to meditate on the substantial oneness of your soul and God. Okay, God permeates me. I'm a divine soul. He's divine. He's everywhere. So there's no difference between me and him. We're one. But if you're absolutely one, how do you have a relationship? How can you love him? If you don't even exist because you've gotten rid of the feeling of I and there's only God, then how will you love him? Bhakti is the path of duality. Ultimately, you attain a state of unity with God, but within the unity, there's still a duality so that you can experience his bliss, love, leelas, all of that. This is an important distinction to make. On the path of bhakti, you keep I. You just make that adjustment. I am a soul. I am not the body, I am a soul. Therefore, I am a servant of Shri Krishna and he is mine. He is my everything. Tvameva mata cha pita, tvameva bandhuscha sakha, tvameva vidya dravinam, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Isn't this how we do Rup Dhyan? This is how we meditate. We think, oh, he is my mother. Radha Rani is my mother. Krishna is my father. He's my brother. He's my best friend. He's your everything. This is bhakti, not abandoning the feeling of mine. And then some people get confused and think, okay, that must be a lower spiritual level, and when I graduate higher, then I'll abandon this feeling of I and mine. No, never on the path of bhakti. If you do that, you're headed for liberation, Advait Mukti, Kaivalya Moksha, and an experience of no experience forever. So it's not a case of graduating to that state. You always maintain the feeling of I and mine in bhakti. Just that I am a soul and I belong to Krishna. He is mine and I belong to him. I am his servant. He is my mother, father, everything. Then when you attain him, you do attain a state of divine unity with him. You're no longer separate. But you can say it's such a state of unity which transcends the oneness of the Gyanis when they merge into formless God. It goes beyond that because it's such a state of oneness and unity where you still also have duality, also at the same time. So you get to experience Him. It's unimaginable, but true. So this is how we approach the path of bhakti. Radhe 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 मन में को मत छोड़ तू दास जोड़ दे और मेरा भी रख साथ में सो रसिकन सिर मोर राधे राधे सो रसिकन सिर मोर मन में को मत छोड़ तू दास जोड़ दे और मेरा भी रख साथ में सो रसिकन सिर मोर राधे राधे सो रसिकन सिर मोर राधे 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 Now, regarding knowing God, the last two dohas that we'll look at tonight resolve another issue that many people have. Many people wonder, well, all these descriptions of God in our scriptures, how can they be true? God certainly must be beyond human intellect. So how can we describe him? And that's why some people default to a non-description of God, which we also have. Adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapdeshyam ekatma pratyayasaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivamadvaitam. Mandukya Upanishad says God cannot be seen. God cannot be interacted with in any way. God cannot be grasped or illuminated by our senses. God has no characteristics which can be defined. Alakshana. God is achintya. He can never be conceived of in the mind. Your mind cannot form a correct image of God. In other words, a non-description of God. Whatever is God, he's so far beyond you that you can't see him, you can't interact with him, your senses can't reach him, your mind can't think of him. That's one way of describing God. But there are other descriptions in our scriptures that God has a form. He has certain lakshana, certain characteristics that can be described. God can be seen. God can be conceived in the mind. He has uncountable forms. Anantanama rupaya, uncountable names, forms, virtues, gunas, abodes, leelas. So on one hand, we have the non-description description of God. And on the other hand, we have extensive descriptions of God. So some people see this as a contradiction, that if God is so far, they think, okay, if we try to describe God, it means we're limiting God. If we try to say God has a form, it means we are limiting God. Certainly God must be beyond forms. I understand the feeling, but in fact the opposite is true. If we say God cannot have a form, we're limiting God. If we say God cannot have discernible characteristics, we're limiting God. So both are true simultaneously. Yes, God, of course, he has a form. Of course, he has unlimited qualities, characteristics, abodes, leelas, forms. But simultaneously, of course, that's completely beyond the reach of a material mind. A material senses can never see God or perceive God. A material mind can never correctly conceive God. A material mind cannot know God. So both are simultaneously true. But God is divine. He does have all of these amazing divine qualities and powers. And he can be experienced, but not just with our material mind. So here, Sri Maharaj says, Samuj. In other words, O my buddhi, O my intellect. He's referring to as my samuj. O samuj, listen up. Samuj son sham ko samuj saka nahi koi. So 3 uses of the word samuj. The first one indicating my intellect. The second one also saying samuj son, oh my intellect, through the material intellect, Shyam can never be samuj. You can never understand him. So this is correct. With a material samuj, you can never samuj him. But samuj milai jab Shyam ki samuj sake bas soy. The one to whom he makes himself known, that individual knows him. And to whom does he make himself known? The one who takes his samuj and joins it with Shri Krishna's samuj. In other words, you surrender your mind. You join your mind with Shri Krishna. It's very simple. Our mind cannot reach Shri Krishna, but if we surrender it to him because he's just waiting to grace us, then he graces us with divine knowledge. So in the next doha, Sri Maharaj says, Shyam samuj se Shyam ko samuj sake sab koi. Anyone can understand Shyam, anyone can understand God if they get God's buddhi. Te Shyam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, on one hand, mam tu vedana kaschana, nobody can know me. But on the other hand, if you bhajatam priti purvakam, if you lovingly surrender to me, then dadami buddhi, I give you a divine buddhi. I give you a divine intellect. So with that intellect, you can say, if someone wants to know who can know Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna can know Shri Krishna, or the one who's received Shri Krishna's buddhi can know Shri Krishna. Who gets his buddhi? Any soul can get his divine intellect, but to get that, you have to surrender to him. So you can't know him with your samuj, you can know him with his samuj. Shyam samuj tab milai jab samuj samarpit hoy. Instead of using your buddhi to try to reach him, take that buddhi and surrender it to him. Then he gives you his buddhi. Simple. Take your buddhi, join it with his buddhi. He gives you divine power. Then and only then can you know him. Radhe 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 Radhe. समुझ समुझ सो श्याम को समुझ सका नहीं कोय समुझ मिलाई जब श्याम की समुझ सके बस सोय राधे राधे समुझ सके बस सोय समुझ सो श्याम को समुझ सका नहीं कोय जब श्याम की समुझ सके समुझ समुझ सो श्याम की, समुझ समुझ सो श्याम को, समुझ सका नहीं कोई। समुझ मिलाई जब श्याम की, समुझ सके बस सोए। राधे राधे समुझ सके बस सोए। श्याम समुझ से श्याम को, समुझ सके सबको। समुझ श्याम समुझ तब मिलई जब, समुझ समर्पित होए। राधे राधे समुझ समर्पित होए। श्याम समुझ से श्याम को, समुझ सके सबको। श्याम समुझ तब मिलई जब, समुझ समर्पित होए। राधे राधे समुझ समर्पित होए। राधे 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 राधे। राधे 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 Radhe 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 Alabeli Sarkar Ki. Tomorrow we'll continue with this Bhakti Shatak, and a couple of the interesting topics that are coming up are that Maharaj is going to address this idea of developing the Daivi gunas in our mind, all the good qualities like Satya, Hinsa, Adi. How is it that one can develop these qualities in the mind? It's very difficult, but there is a way. And in addition to that, why is it that our mind is continually drawn towards the world? No matter how spiritual a person tries to become, their mind is always getting attracted by the world. So what is the reason behind this? We'll also learn that tomorrow.